Hello, this is Loopline. In this video I want to cover how to set up the Blue Box sync. For the sync service I use Dropbox, and you should get an invite, which would be an email that looks something like this, and it just says view folder, and it's going to be sent to your email. If you already have a Dropbox account, then as soon as it's accepted into your Dropbox, then it's just going to start syncing on your desktop or your VPS, that sort of thing. Assuming that you do not already currently have a Dropbox account, then I'm going to take you through the sign up here. So basically I'm going to click sign up, and I'm going to enter some information here and click sign up and wait for it to load here, and then it's going to give me these options. And once I get past all the intro stuff, which I went ahead and just skipped that, then you should see this sharing here option, and there's two, and you're basically just going to click that, and you have two new shared folder invitations. Again, this would be somewhat similar. You can log into your Dropbox if you already have it, and you can verify it now and send the email here to verify your address. Because I registered a new address, you wouldn't have to verify your email address if you had not, if you already have a Dropbox account. So let me get the verification here. And so I have the email verification, and let me follow through with that. And then it wants us to sign in to verify, and so we'll sign in. And thanks for verifying your email. Now you can share folders with friends and family, that sort of thing. Great. And then when I go back to my share folder, I can accept these invitations, and you'll see auto approve marketplace or AAM live sync. There's two different ones. There is a verified folder and a identified folder, and so I go into details about what the folders are on the actual website, on the membership site. So I won't go into great detail here, but the basics are that the verified folder is your verified links. Those are links targets I've already verified that you can build a link on, and I have built a link on it using Capture Breaker as the capture service and that sort of thing. The identified list is I scrape millions and millions of URLs, and I run them through and sort them and identify them and see which platforms are compatible with GSA search engine ranker and which ones are not. And all the ones that are compatible, they get sorted into this global identified folder, and so they all get sorted in. And basically it's a giant list. So if you want to use like text capture services or reCAPTCHA services or other capture services like Spamvilla, I think, and reverse CAPTCHA has other services, like they support hundreds and hundreds of CAPTCHA types, and that sort of thing. Or if you have a particular platform that you want to work on with, manual CAPTCHA services, or if you're really just trying to get links from a particular platform that Capture Breaker has trouble with, you can do all those sorts of things, and you can use the identified list, because again the verified list is Capture Breaker only, and that's subject to some limitations, obviously, because Capture Breaker doesn't really do reCAPTCHA very well. It doesn't do text CAPTCHA. It doesn't do, some platforms have super low success rate for the CAPTCHAs, so it just gives you a lot of options that you can do with other services. And it does take a while for me to parse through those URLs because there's millions and millions, and so if you want to zero in on a particular platform and work on that platform, you can possibly do it faster than I can do it, even though I have many servers running, because I spread them across all the platforms. And so it's an identified list. If you want to use it, you can. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. It's optional. Some people wanted it, so I added it. So you can use that as you see fit. And so now I have to install Dropbox, which I should have a drop down up here that lets me install. Also, right on Dropbox.com on the main homepage is a download link. And so I'm just going to go ahead and download this here and save it to file. And I'll walk through the installation process, and I won't leave the video running for the whole thing because I assume that you know how to install programs. Alright, so got it all installed. Everything's good to go. And then we have down here in the system tray the little icon, and it pops up here. And congratulations, we can view the advanced settings if we want, but I'm going to open the folder here. And in the Dropbox folder, we will see nothing yet because it's still syncing in, but Dropbox is pretty fast. And you can see downloading, you can kind of see it down here. It's downloading the list, and there, grab those folders, and then inside of them it will start populating the actual files. And I'll pause the video for a moment while it does that. And so it's actually still downloading files because there's a fair bit of files out there. In GSA, to set this up, It's pretty easy. I have a generic test project here, and we have to tell GSA that we want to use these folders because Dropbox is going to keep the files synced from my server up to date on your computer to the minute. As I build links, you get them in the verified and identified folders. Identified folder is updated less often. It's updated a few times a day. The verified folder is on a live update around the clock. So we're going to go to options, and we're going to go to advanced, and we're going to see these global folders here. And what a global folder does is it can store or reference entire lists of files for GSA to use. So here you can see most people have the verified list checked off, and what that'll do is as you run projects and build links, it builds up a list of verified URLs so that you can use those with other projects. But what we want to use GSA's global folder to do is reference the folders that I'm providing via Dropbox and get GSA to automatically pull targets from those files and post links to them. So you can think of these not as identified, submitted, verified, and failed, but as slots. So identified is like slot 1, submitted is slot 2, verified is slot 3, failed is slot 4. They're slots. You can use them for anything. You do not have to use them for what they say right here. That's just a convenient, friendly name so that people can remember them. Now, I don't want to check these boxes because I don't want to try, if you put a checkbox there, GSA will try to write to that folder, and since I already provide the list, you don't want GSA to write entries to that folder because it'll overwrite the list that I provide, and that would be pointless. So let's select that particular folder here. So I'm going to go ahead and click here, and then we're going to click Dropbox. We'll find our Dropbox here under loopline, and inside of the Dropbox we will have the folders. So for submitted or slot 2, I'm going to go ahead and set that up as my verified list. So I would select the verified list here and click OK, and then we'll see that populate here, the AAM live sync verified. And if I want to set up the identified list, then I would do the same thing. I would use slot 1. I personally would use slot 1 as identified. If you are going to use GSA's feature here under tools to identify, like scrape your own targets as well and identify them and sort them in, then GSA is going to try to write to this folder automatically, and you don't want to overwrite my list with your list because that's pointless. So in that case, you'd probably want to use slot 4, the failed slot, for the identified list, if that makes sense. So you can just reference slot 4, and I'll show you how to set these up in projects. So you could actually sort your own list into identified and use submitted as my verified list, slot 2, and slot 4 as my identified list. So you can set it up however you want. So I went ahead and pointed the identified list to identified here, again making sure to not checkbox these. And so that's all you have to do as far as overall setup, because now we've told slot 1 to reference the identified folder and slot 2 to reference the verified folder. And now if we go into our test project that we already have and go to options and scroll down to this section right here where it says use URLs from global site lists if enabled, if I want to have a GSA pull in links from my submitted list, which is slot 2, which we pointed at our verified list, I tick this box. And then the project, as it runs, will automatically pull links from that verified folder and attempt to post to them. And it's that easy. If I wanted to use the identified list or slot 1, or again, if I set it up as the failed list, I could do slot 4 here. Whichever one you want to pull links from and have your project use, you can check those, and you can check multiple. So I could do identified and submitted. So let's just do submitted, in this case slot 2, which we pointed at our verified list. And let's make sure that the list has populated, and looks like it may still be populating a little bit, but we can see there's a lot of targets in there. And so let's let GSA run and see what happens. So it's a test project with not optimized settings, so links per minute probably aren't going to be up there, but you can see it's generating links. And so basically what's going on right now is GSA is saying, the project is saying, okay, where do we get links from? And we're going to get links from that global folder submitted, which we ticked off in options there. And then it's going to the global folder and saying, okay, where is this global folder? And that's pointed at this verified folder. And so then it's saying, okay, these are the site list files that we want to use to attempt to post links to. And you can see it's working rather well. That is all you have to do to set up the Bluebox Sync to work. Again, if you already have a Dropbox account, you can skip most of those steps because you won't have to register your Dropbox. It'll already be syncing in. If you get an invite I send the invites for Dropbox to the email address that you register with on the actual website. If you need me to send an invite to a different email address rather than the one you register with, then please feel free to let me know. Just use the contact form, or you can email me at service@mattborden.com, or you can email loopline at autoapprovemarketplace.com. Either one, it all comes to me, and I can send those invites as you need. Also, if you happen to be having a free Dropbox or a Dropbox that is too full to be able to use my lists, you can definitely create a new Dropbox for free and use that, and I'm happy to send the invite over there as well. Just let me know if you need me to send it to a different folder. One last note would be under your advanced options here under tools, there's this option to clean up, which some people use, and that's fine. When you choose to clean up folders, what happens is GSA will go through and it will examine all of the files, and then it will try to see if they're still alive, and then it will try to delete them if they're not, and that sort of thing. You want to make sure that you don't check off the boxes for whatever list you're using. So in this case, we have the identified slot 1 and slot 2 here set up with my list. So I would uncheck these, because if you run the cleanup on the list, it's just again going to be trying to deleting and altering the list that you pay for, and I already have multiple filters in place to purge lists as we move along, so it's just not something you have to worry about. There's no sense wasting your resources on it because I already do it. And so just don't check those off, and again make sure these aren't checked. And when you want to add a new project, if I just add a new one here, when I'm going to set it up, I just go to options again and go here to my use URLs from global site lists if enabled, and I choose what I want to use. The verify list is the one you have built up, so you could use that if you wanted, but again I have a live filtered list here that we set up with the slot 2 here, and again if I could use identified if I wanted to for slot 1, but you just choose what you want, and then you generally probably want to uncheck this because it's going to go out there and try to find its own targets if you do that. But I have another video in the members area, actually 2, on actual GSA settings and other videos as well. So definitely check those out. And that is how you set up Bluebox Sync.